If I told you that a small container could produce more food than a large patch of backyard soil, would you believe it? It sounds hard to believe, but this is exactly what's happening in many high-yield gardens today. Most people assume that to harvest a lot of vegetables, you need a lot of land. So they look at a small balcony pot and think it's only good for a few herbs. But experienced gardeners know a different secret. Yield is not determined by how much space you have, but by choosing the right plants. There are vegetables almost designed for container growing. They use vertical space, produce continuously, and thrive in places where many other crops struggle. From just a small balcony corner, a narrow porch, or a few pots along a fence, you can create a steady supply of fresh food for months. And today, we're going to explore 10 vegetables that can turn ordinary containers into real food production machines. Some climb high and barely take up ground space. Some keep producing harvest after harvest. And one plant near the end grows so aggressively that many gardeners try to control it rather than encourage it. 10. Arugula. Arugula is one of the fastest ways to turn a pot into a food source. Many people underestimate arugula because its leaves look delicate and small at first, but it's actually one of the fastest growing crops for container gardening. In a very short time, you can start harvesting. And instead of pulling the whole plant, you simply cut the outer leaves and let the center keep growing. This turns a single pot into a continuous harvest system for many weeks. Another major advantage is speed. Arugula germinates fast, grows fast, and delivers results almost immediately. This is especially important for beginners because early success creates strong motivation to keep gardening. With just a shallow container placed on a balcony or near a sunny window, you can maintain a constant supply of salad greens with minimal effort. 9. Rosemary. Rosemary is a special case on this list. Unlike high-yield vegetables, rosemary is not a heavy production crop, but it is one of the best plants for container growing. It originates from the Mediterranean region, where soil is dry, well-drained, and sunlight is abundant. Because of that, it thrives in containers where drainage can be controlled better than in garden soil. While many plants struggle with root rot in the ground, rosemary often performs more steadily in pots. Another unique advantage is longevity. This is not a seasonal plant. A healthy rosemary plant can live for years and eventually grow into a large bush. And during all that time, you can continuously harvest small sprigs for cooking. Whether for roasting, stews, or Mediterranean dishes, rosemary is always ready right outside your door. But its biggest value is not quantity, it's stability. While many herbs come and go with the seasons, rosemary stays green year-round in many climates. It doesn't feel like a big harvest plant, it feels like an always available plant. And that makes it a reliable foundation for any container garden. 8. Daikon radish. Daikon is one of the clearest examples of how a small pot can produce something surprising. Most people assume large root vegetables need deep, wide garden beds, until they see a massive daikon pulled from a container and realize they were wrong. In reality, as long as you have a deep pot and loose soil, the plant can grow straight downward and form impressively long roots. The key is not surface area, but depth. While many plants only use the top layer of soil, daikon fully exploits vertical space underground, and that creates a unique harvesting experience. You see nothing happening above ground for weeks. Then one day you pull it up and the entire pot seems to disappear, replaced by a huge hidden root. But daikon isn't just visually impressive. It can be used in soups, pickles, stir-fries, roasted dishes, or storage food. However, daikon is not a continuous harvest crop. It produces once and completes its life cycle. But in return, each harvest feels incredibly satisfying and rewarding. 7. Garlic. Garlic is one of the simplest yet most valuable container crops because it turns small spaces into long-term food storage. Most vegetables are harvested and eaten immediately. Garlic is different. It can be stored for months after harvest. Another reason it works so well in containers is simplicity. Unlike crops that require constant care, garlic almost runs itself once planted. You simply place cloves in the soil, cover them, and wait. Most of the time, the pot just sits there while the plant develops underground. It doesn't need much horizontal space either, making it perfect for small or medium containers. Another advantage is cost efficiency. High-quality garlic or specialty varieties can be expensive to buy, but even a small pot can produce multiple bulbs at very low space cost. And homegrown garlic often tastes stronger, fresher, and more aromatic than store-bought garlic that has been stored for long periods. 6. Celery. Most people don't think of celery as a container crop because they associate it with large-scale farming. But in reality, celery grows very well in pots when moisture is consistent. And once you realize how often you buy celery, growing your own suddenly makes a lot of sense. Another advantage is how you harvest it. You don't need to pull the whole plant. Just cut outer stalks and the center keeps growing. This turns a container into a long-term harvest system instead of a one-time crop. Celery is also important because of how often it is used in cooking soups, broths, salads, and more. A single productive pot can quietly replace many grocery store trips without you noticing. 5. Bush bean. Bush beans are one of the most practical plants in this entire list. No trellis required, no complicated support system, no vertical structure needed. They focus all their energy on producing compact bushes that continuously yield beans throughout the season. This makes them extremely efficient for container gardening. Another advantage is speed. From seed to harvest happens quickly, giving gardeners visible results in a short time. This is especially important for beginners because it builds early confidence. Once mature, the plants quickly fill the pot and start producing repeatedly. You harvest today, and a few days later more appear. This cycle continues throughout the growing season, and that repetition is where the real value comes from. A single pot can produce enough beans for meals, salads, stir-fries, or even freezing for later use. It's not just a plant, it's a steady, reliable food source in a small space. 4. Collard greens. Collard greens are one of the strongest leafy greens you can grow in containers. If your goal is maximum leaf production from a pot, collards are hard to beat. Their strength is not delicacy, it's raw growth power. Once established, they produce very large leaves, much bigger than most people expect from container-grown plants. But what makes them truly valuable is the harvest method. You don't pull the whole plant. You cut the outer leaves and let the center keep producing. This continues for months, creating a near constant supply of greens. Another advantage is resilience. Collard greens tolerate both heat and cold better than many leafy vegetables. That makes them a very stable choice across different climates. And once fully grown, a few plants can cover an entire container, making a small space feel much more productive than expected. 3. Malabar spinach. Malabar spinach is one of those plants that makes you stop and look twice. Not because it's rare, but because of how it grows. It's not a typical spinach, it's a vine. And when summer arrives, it explodes in growth. While many leafy greens slow down in heat, Malabar spinach thrives. That alone makes it extremely valuable for summer container gardening. It also uses vertical space extremely well. Give it a trellis, railing, or support, and it quickly climbs upward instead of spreading across the ground. This turns a small balcony corner into a vertical food system. And like many leafy greens, it can be harvested continuously by cutting tips and young leaves. What makes it special is timing it performs best when other crops struggle. The hotter the summer, the stronger it gets. 2. Yard-long bean. Yard-long beans are one of the most visually impressive container crops. When the pods start hanging down, they almost look unreal. Long beans dangling everywhere. Some reach incredible lengths even from a single container setup. They also grow extremely well vertically, using fences and trellises as productive structures. This allows small patios to produce far more than their footprint suggests. Another advantage is heat tolerance. While many beans slow down in hot weather, yard-long beans keep producing strongly. But what really stands out is abundance. Once established, harvesting becomes almost continuous. Pods appear quickly and in large number. Visually, few plants are as striking. Visitors notice them immediately and always ask questions. That curiosity makes gardening more engaging and rewarding. 1. Pole bean. If there is one plant that truly redefines container gardening, it's the pole bean. It is one of the clearest examples of using vertical space to maximize production. Instead of spreading outward, it climbs upward. With just a simple trellis or net, a small balcony corner can become a living food wall. Once it starts producing, everything changes quickly. Pods appear continuously, and the more you harvest, the more the plant produces. This creates an almost non-stop cycle throughout the season. The efficiency is remarkable. A single pot can support an entire vertical system covered in beans, producing far more than its original size suggests. The most impressive part is speed. From small vines to a fully producing system happens in a short time. Harvesting becomes part of daily routine, but pole beans are not number one just because of yield. They are number one because they change how you think about gardening. They prove you don't need more land to grow more food. You just need to use vertical space better. And when a small container becomes a full wall of beans, you realize the real limitation was never space. It was perspective. What all 10 plants in this list prove is simple. The limitation in gardening is not space, it's how you use it. A balcony, a patio, or a small corner of a yard can produce an impressive amount of food if you choose the right crops. From fast-growing greens, to continuous harvest plants, to climbing vines that turn vertical space into productivity. Each plant here shows that a single container can do far more than most people expect. And when you combine them, you're no longer just growing vegetables. You're building a small home food system. There are still lesser-known plants that can yield even more, tolerate harsher conditions, and keep producing long after others have finished their season. So if you enjoyed this list, don't miss the next part, because the highest yield container crops are still ahead, and they might completely change how you see small space gardening. If you live in an apartment with only a small balcony, have a modest backyard, or simply don't have much space for gardening, don't assume that growing your own food is impossible. In fact, many gardeners harvest dozens of kilograms of fresh produce each season from just a few containers or a small raised bed. Their secret is not having a large garden, it is choosing high-yield crops, making the most of vertical space, and using harvesting methods that encourage continuous growth. Today, we'll explore 20 vegetables that are known for producing excellent yields in limited spaces. Not only do they provide a steady supply of fresh, healthy food, but they can also help reduce grocery expenses throughout the growing season. 1. Cherry tomatoes, the productivity champion of small garden. If you could choose only one crop to grow in a limited space, many experienced gardeners would immediately recommend cherry tomatoes. Compared to large fruited tomato varieties, cherry tomatoes flower earlier, set fruit more reliably, and can produce continuously for several months when properly cared for. What makes cherry tomatoes so special is their ability to produce hundreds of fruits on a single plant. With just 2 or 3 plants growing in large containers on a balcony or patio, you can harvest enough fresh tomatoes for daily use throughout the summer. In addition to being highly productive, cherry tomatoes are relatively easy to grow. They are ideal for beginners because they thrive with plenty of sunlight, consistent watering, and well-draining soil. You don't need advanced gardening skills to succeed. One important tip: install stakes or a trellis while the plants are still young. As clusters of fruit develop, the branches become significantly heavier and can easily break without support. Regular harvesting is another simple trick that encourages continuous flowering and fruit production. The more frequently you pick, the more the plant tends to produce. 2. Lettuce, a vegetable you can harvest again and again. Lettuce is proof that productivity isn't just measured by plant size, but also by how many times you can harvest from the same plant. About a month after sowing, lettuce is ready to harvest. The interesting part is that you don't need to pull up the entire plant. Simply pick the outer leaves and leave the center intact, and the plant will continue producing fresh leaves for weeks. Lettuce is also one of the easiest vegetables for beginners. It doesn't require a large container, has shallow roots, and grows well on small balconies or sunny windowsills. One thing to keep in mind is that lettuce dislikes excessive heat. During hot weather, provide afternoon shade and keep the soil consistently moist to prevent bitterness and premature bolting. By sowing a new tray of seeds every 2 weeks, you can enjoy a nearly continuous supply of fresh lettuce throughout the season. 3. Spinach, fast-growing, nutritious, and space-efficient. Spinach is an excellent choice for gardeners who want a quick harvest without needing much space. This leafy green thrives in cool weather and takes only a few weeks to develop enough foliage for the first harvest. After cutting, the plant will continue producing new leaves as long as you avoid cutting too close to the base. One of spinach's biggest advantages is that it can be planted densely. Even in a small container or growing tray, you can grow many plants and harvest a substantial amount of fresh greens. Spinach is also beginner-friendly. Simply maintain consistent moisture and place it in a location with good light but not excessive heat. A useful tip is to harvest the leaves while they are still young. Young leaves are more tender and flavorful, and the plants recover more quickly for continued growth. 4. Kale. The more you harvest, the more it produces. Kale is highly valued by home gardeners because it is both nutritious and incredibly productive over a long period. Unlike many leafy greens that are harvested only once, kale continuously produces new leaves from the growing tip. When you remove the older leaves from the bottom, the plant directs its energy toward producing fresh leaves at the top. Kale is also remarkably cold tolerant and can withstand cool weather at both the beginning and end of the growing season. Growing kale is straightforward. Provide plenty of sunlight, keep the soil consistently moist, and feed the plants with organic fertilizer regularly. In return, you'll enjoy months of fresh harvests. The most important rule is not to remove too many leaves at one time. Always leave the center leaves intact so the plant can continue photosynthesizing and growing. 5. Cucumbers. Use vertical space to multiply your harvest. Many gardeners avoid cucumbers because they assume the plants require too much space. In reality, with a simple trellis, cucumbers become one of the most productive crops for small gardens. When trained to climb a trellis or netting, the vines grow upward instead of spreading across the ground. This saves space, improves sun exposure, and reduces the risk of many diseases. Cucumbers are relatively easy to grow as long as they receive consistent watering and plenty of sunlight. Before long, bright yellow flowers appear, followed by an abundance of young fruits. For maximum production, harvest cucumbers when they reach their ideal size. Allowing fruits to remain on the vine too long signals the plant to slow down flowering and fruit production. That's why checking and harvesting cucumbers daily during peak season is one of the simplest and most effective ways to extend the harvest period. 6. Bush beans, compact plants with impressive yields. Bush beans are an excellent option for gardeners who want to make the most of every square foot of growing space. Unlike pole beans, which require tall supports, bush beans grow as compact plants while still producing large quantities of pod. One major advantage is their quick maturity. Most varieties begin producing harvestable beans just 50 to 60 days after sowing. Regular harvesting encourages continued flowering and pod production, extending the harvest season. Bush beans are also easy to grow, making them ideal for beginners. Seeds germinate readily. Plants require minimal maintenance, and they thrive in large containers or small garden beds. Avoid leaving mature pods on the plants for too long. Once the seeds inside fully develop, the plant slows down flower production. Harvesting pods while they're young and tender not only improves flavor but also increases overall yield. 7. Pole beans, the ultimate vertical gardening crop. If you want to maximize vertical space, pole beans are among the best crops you can grow. Instead of spreading across the ground, these vigorous climbers grow up trellises, fences, and netting, transforming a small area into a productive wall of greenery. Many pole bean varieties continue producing for weeks or even months under favorable conditions. Just a few plants can provide enough beans for an entire family. Pole beans are relatively easy to care for. Once established, simply guide the vines onto their support structure and maintain consistent moisture. They perform best in full sun and loose, fertile soil. A helpful tip is to install the trellis before sowing seeds or while the plants are still very young. This prevents root disturbance later and encourages healthy growth from the start. 8. Bell peppers. The better the care, the bigger the harvest. Bell peppers are not only attractive plants, but also one of the most rewarding vegetables to grow at home. Under the right conditions, a single plant can produce multiple flushes of flowers and fruits from early summer until late in the season. One reason bell peppers are so popular is that they require relatively little space. A container about 25-30 centimeters, 10-12 inches, deep and a sunny location are usually enough for healthy growth. Contrary to what many people think, bell peppers are fairly easy to grow. The key is maintaining consistent watering and preventing the soil from drying out completely during hot weather. As plants become loaded with fruit, supporting the stems with small stakes is often beneficial. Heavy branches can break during strong winds if left unsupported. 9. Radishes, fast harvest for impatient gardeners. If you enjoy seeing quick results, radishes are hard to beat. They are among the fastest growing vegetables, with many varieties ready for harvest just 25 to 30 days after sowing. Their compact size makes them ideal for containers, growing trays, or narrow garden beds. You can even sow them between larger crops to maximize space efficiency. Radishes are also very easy to grow. They simply need loose soil, consistent moisture, and plenty of sunlight. One important tip is not to sow seeds too densely. Giving each plant enough room allows the roots to develop into larger, more uniform bulbs. If necessary, thin seedlings early to ensure the best result. 10. Green onions, a must-have crop for every small garden. Green onions are among the most productive crops you can grow in a limited space. They grow quickly, require very little room, and can be planted densely in containers or trays. One of their greatest advantages is that they can often be harvested using a cut-and-come-again approach. After cutting the green tops, many plants will regrow as long as the roots remain healthy. Green onions are also perfect for beginner gardeners because they are resistant to many pests and require very little maintenance. Regular watering and good sunlight are usually all they need. To keep the plants tender and vibrant green, feed them occasionally with compost or organic fertilizer. At the same time, avoid waterlogged soil, as prolonged wet conditions can cause root rot. 11. Zucchini, one plant can feed the whole family. Zucchini is famous for its incredible productivity. Many gardeners report harvesting so much from just 1 or 2 plants that they end up sharing the surplus with neighbors. These plants thrive in full sun and nutrient-rich soil. Once flowering begins, fruits develop rapidly, sometimes reaching harvest size in just a few days. Although zucchini plants can become quite large, they are still worth growing in small spaces because of their exceptional yields. A single plant can produce an impressive amount of food throughout the season. For the best flavor and continued production, harvest fruits while they are still young, usually when they reach about 15-20 centimeters in length. Early harvesting encourages the plant to keep flowering and setting new fruit. 12. Swiss chard, plant once, harvest for months. Swiss chard is often overlooked, yet it is one of the most dependable crops for small space gardening. With its colorful stems and shades of yellow, red, orange, and pink, it adds beauty to balconies and gardens while providing a steady supply of nutritious greens. What makes Swiss chard special is its ability to regenerate continuously. Rather than harvesting the entire plant, simply remove the larger outer leaves while leaving the center intact. New leaves will continue to emerge for months. Swiss chard is also highly adaptable and tolerant of changing weather conditions. It grows well in containers and garden beds alike, suffers from relatively few pest problems, and requires minimal maintenance. To keep plants productive, maintain consistent soil moisture and apply compost or worm castings regularly. Avoid removing too many leaves at once, as the plant still needs enough foliage to support healthy growth. 13. Arugula, fast-growing and always ready for salad. Arugula, also known as rocket, is a popular leafy green in European cuisine thanks to its distinctive peppery flavor. One of the main reasons gardeners love it is its rapid growth rate. Just 3 to 4 weeks after sowing, you can begin harvesting tender, young leaves. With proper harvesting techniques, plants will continue producing fresh foliage for an extended period. Arugula is ideal for small gardens because it can be planted densely in shallow containers or seed trays. Even with limited soil and space, you can harvest a surprisingly large amount of green. For the best flavor, harvest leaves while they are young. Older leaves tend to become stronger and more pungent, especially during hot weather. Excessive heat can also cause the plants to bolt, reducing leaf quality. 14. Bok choy, fast, productive, and beginner-friendly. For gardeners who enjoy quick results, bok choy is an excellent choice. Depending on the variety and growing conditions, it is usually ready to harvest within 30 to 45 days after sowing. Because bok choy has a relatively compact root system, It grows very well in containers, raised beds, and even small balcony plants. Plants develop uniformly and are generally trouble-free when given adequate water. Another advantage is harvest flexibility. Young plants can be picked early for salads and stir-fries, while larger plants can be left to mature for more substantial harvests. To reduce the risk of premature bolting during warm weather, maintain consistent soil moisture and avoid allowing the soil to dry out completely. 15. Carrots, surprisingly successful in containers. Many people assume carrots require large garden plots, but they can actually grow very well in containers if given enough depth and loose soil. Short and miniature carrot varieties are particularly suited to small spaces. They thrive in containers, raised beds, and balcony planters that receive plenty of sunlight. Although carrots take longer to mature than many leafy vegetables, they reward gardeners with flavorful roots that store well after harvest. The key to success is keeping the soil loose and free of rocks. Compacted soil often causes roots to become forked, twisted, or misshapen. Consistent watering and well-prepared soil will help produce straight, attractive carrots. 16. Beets, harvest both roots and greens. If you want to maximize productivity from every square foot, beets are an excellent choice. Not only are the roots edible, but the young leaves are also highly nutritious and can be cooked like other leafy greens. Beets adapt well to containers and small garden beds. With proper care, you can harvest 2 valuable crops from a single plant. Growing beets is relatively simple. They need adequate sunlight, well-draining soil, and consistent moisture to thrive. One important tip is to avoid removing too many leaves while the roots are developing. Leaves provide the energy needed for root growth, and excessive leaf removal can reduce the final size of the beets. 17. Hot peppers. Small plants. Huge production. Hot peppers prove that small plants can deliver impressive harvests. Many varieties grow only 40-60 centimeters, 16-24 inches, tall yet can produce dozens or even hundreds of peppers during a single season. They are ideal for balconies and patios because they require relatively little space while still thriving in container. Hot peppers are also known for their long harvest season. After the first fruits ripen and are picked, plants typically continue flowering and producing additional crops. For maximum productivity, avoid overwatering. Well-drained soil combined with abundant sunlight encourages healthy growth and excellent fruit production. 18. Eggplants. The more you harvest, the more they produce. Modern eggplant varieties are often bred specifically for container gardening, making them perfect for gardeners with limited space. Once established, plants produce attractive purple flowers that quickly develop into fruit. Harvesting at the proper time encourages continuous flowering and additional fruit production throughout the season. Eggplants are relatively easy to grow, but require plenty of sunlight and nutrient-rich soil. Regular applications of organic fertilizer help maintain vigorous growth and steady yield. For the best quality, harvest fruits while the skin remains glossy and the flesh is still tender. Leaving mature fruits on the plant for too long can slow the development of new fruits and reduce overall productivity. 19. Snap peas. Double your harvest by growing upward. Snap peas are climbing plants that make excellent use of vertical space. With a simple trellis, net, or support structure, they quickly transform unused vertical areas into productive growing zones. This allows gardeners to harvest significantly more food from the same footprint compared to crops that spread across the ground. Snap peas are easy to grow, especially during cooler weather. Once the plants begin producing their delicate white flowers, sweet, crisp pods soon follow. For the highest yields, harvest pods frequently as soon as they reach their ideal size. Regular picking encourages continued flowering and more pod production. 20. Celery, underrated but worth growing. The final crop on our list is celery, a highly useful vegetable for both cooking and fresh consumption. Although many people assume celery is difficult to grow, it performs very well in containers when provided with consistent moisture and fertile soil. One of celery's greatest advantages is that you don't need to harvest the entire plant at once. Simply remove the outer stalks as needed, and the center will continue producing new growth. This makes celery particularly valuable for households that frequently prepare soups, juices, stews, and other home-cooked meals. The most important factor for success is preventing the soil from drying out. Celery is sensitive to drought, and regular watering helps maintain crisp, juicy stalks with excellent flavor. As these 20 vegetables demonstrate, a small garden is by no means a barrier to growing your own food. By choosing high-yield crops and following a few simple gardening practices, such as harvesting at the right time, watering consistently, and applying fertilizer regularly, you can transform a few containers on a balcony into a highly productive mini garden. We hope this list helps you choose the right crops to start or expand your gardening journey. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with fellow gardening enthusiasts. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.